John here from Great Lakes Country. I recently got a brand new Z Grills pellet smoker, and I wanted to make a video to discuss some common questions that people have, particularly people who are pretty new to smoking, about pellet grills in general. But because a video of me just talking to the camera for several minutes can start to get kinda boring, I thought I'd talk about this stuff while showing a video of me making a great big mountain of pulled pork with my pellet grill. I won't really talk much about this specific cook, but if you have any questions about it, please feel free to ask me in the comments below. But for now, on to the frequently asked pellet smoker questions. In no particular order, question 1. Do pellet grills require electricity? Yes, they have to be plugged into an electrical outlet to work. This is because the pellets are continuously fed into the fire pot by an electric auger. Also, all the electronics and sensors that determine cook temperature and how often to feed more pellets into the fire need electricity. Finally, igniting the grill to start a cook is done electronically. All of these electric features are definitely convenient, though it does mean that you'll have to have a power source wherever you want to use your smoker. Question 2. How easy is it to use a pellet grill? It's incredibly easy to use a pellet grill. There's usually some assembly required before you can start using it, but the actual operation is very simple. Basically, load up the hopper with pellets, start the grill with the control panel, set your temperature, stick your food into the grill chamber, and that's it. There's no fire management or any other kind of babysitting needed for even a very long cook. Question 3. I'll group the following 3 questions together since they all kind of ask the same thing. Can a pellet grill produce a true wood-fired flavor? How good is the smoky flavor? And how does the wood flavor from a pellet grill compare to an offset smoker? Okay, first, yes, a pellet grill produces a wood-fired flavor, but it's a lot more subtle than you're gonna get from basically any offset smoker. When you eat something that's been cooked on a pellet grill, you can smell and taste the smokiness. But generally speaking, it's vastly weaker in smell and flavor than if you cooked the same thing with wood splits using an offset smoker. This is for a couple reasons. Pellet smokers are much more efficient and burn a much smaller fire. Pellets also simply don't produce as much smoke as a hunk of wood. Now, there are a lot of different kinds of pellets you can buy, and this can affect how smoky your food tastes. Fruit wood pellets will be milder than oak pellets, and a lot of people say that the pellets made from pecan shells make for better smoke than all the other varieties. Additionally, using a smoke tube is something a lot of people do when smoking on a pellet grill. This is basically a metal tube that you fill with pellets that you light up and allow to smolder for many hours during your cook. This just introduces a bunch of extra smoke into the cook chamber, much more than the pellet grill itself is producing. I'm actually using a smoke tube with the 2 pork shoulders I'm cooking in this video. In my opinion, it's still nowhere near as smoky as when I use my offset, but the smoke tube definitely adds an extra kick of smoke flavor. Question 4. What are some more pros and cons of using pellets versus wood splits? The number one selling point for a pellet grill is certainly its convenience. You can make food that is slow cooked with smoke, and it requires absolutely zero work or attention for the majority of the cook. They're super easy to use, and the electronics inside them take nearly all of the guesswork out of the process. They're terrific for people who are new to smoking, or for people who don't want to spend great amounts of time becoming very proficient with a stick-burning cooker like an offset. It's also much more convenient to buy pellets than it is to source a lot of seasoned, kiln-dried hardwood splits. You can buy bags of pellets online or get them at basically any store that sells grilling stuff. To buy a truckload of kiln-dried hardwood splits, you may be doing a lot of calling around to see where you can actually get them depending on where you live. Me, I had to drive about an hour away and haul all of them back myself with my pickup truck. But as I mentioned earlier, with a pellet grill, you have to have a power source. If you can't plug in the grill, you can't use it. This also means you don't want to let your smoker get even slightly wet. If there's any chance of rain, you better not start a cook. Now, I suppose the main reason that the offset still reigns supreme among professional barbecuers is that there is simply no reproducing that authentic offset smoke. Go into any legit barbecue joint across the United States, and you're not likely to see a single pellet grill being used anywhere. Lastly, I mentioned that pellets are much more convenient to source and use. Well, they're also more expensive. If you're going to do a ton of smoking, you'll go through a lot of pellets. With a stick burner, you'll also go through a lot of wood. But pound for pound, you'll end up spending a lot more on pellets if you plan to run your cooker very frequently. It costs a couple $100 for a truckload of oak splits, but I can get dozens of cooks from that truckload. Conversely, a 20-pound bag of pellets costs around $15, and that might get me about 2 long cooks. That means for that same $200, I could probably expect to get somewhere between 26 and 30 cooks using pellets. Question 5. Can a pellet grill be used in cold weather? Yes, but it won't be as efficient. Like all smokers, cold weather generally means you're going to have a longer cook and or will need to burn more fuel. The heat from your fire inside the smoker is battling the cold air outside the smoker, and you'll have to burn more pellets or wood to maintain the temperature you want. So you can cook in pretty cold weather, but plan accordingly. Question 6. Should I buy a pellet smoker? Or should I buy an electric smoker? Or a wood burning smoker? There's not a super straightforward answer to this question. It all depends on your needs and how much time and effort you are interested in devoting to barbecuing meats. A lot of people start with the smallest, cheapest, and or simplest smokers when they first decide to try making smoked meats. Oftentimes, that means an inexpensive electric smoker. Those are pretty compact and simple to use, but all the smoke comes from a tiny little chamber in which you put a few wood chips that smolder away. So it's smoking meats, but it's barely smoking meats. Next in line with regards to ease of use would be pellet smokers. In my opinion, they're a little more complex to assemble, use, and maintain than a cheap electric smoker, but the results are much better. Again, in my opinion. Then the next progression in a lot of backyard cooks' barbecue journey would be to move up to either an offset or a direct heat cooker, such as a Big Green Egg or Weber kettle. All that being said, the first smoker I ever bought or used was an offset. I have a habit of diving straight into the deep end and doing a new thing in the most difficult way possible. There is a big learning curve, and I went through a lot of meat, wood, and time before I got really good at it. Anyway, to answer the question of which kind of smoker you should buy, I'll say this. If you're looking for the simplest, cheapest option to get sorta smoky meat, and you may only use it once or twice, I guess try a cheap electric smoker. If you aspire to be a professional pitmaster someday, or produce competition-grade barbecue, then you might as well dive headfirst into an offset and start learning how the big boys do it. But if you're a backyard weekend warrior who wants to do some very long cooks and make some very good barbecue, but don't have the patience or interest in babysitting an offset for an entire 14-hour cook, a pellet grill is an excellent choice. So I guess that's about it. If you have any other questions about pellet grills that I didn't cover here, please let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. And I hope you enjoyed the footage of all that pulled pork. I certainly enjoyed eating it. Be sure to like and subscribe and stay up to date with all our latest stuff, including future barbecue and grilling videos. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'm John, and this is Great Lakes Country.